Hey y'all, I'm back. I'm back. Can y'all hear? Can y'all hear me? I am back. I need some gloss, honey. I am back because something crossed my mind and I said, let me get on live and talk about it. So, um, yeah, that's what we're getting ready to do. So, as you can tell by the title of this particular of this live, we are talking about I need my sunglasses on, y'all. It's too sunny out here. I can't do it. I cannot do it. I can't do it. I cannot do it. Um we're talking about a mentors versus sponsors when it comes to your career. And a lot of people have a mentor, right? A lot of people have a make sure you have a mentor, especially you starting off in your or if you're early in your career. You want to make sure that you have a mentor, right? Somebody that you can um call on for questions, if you get stuck with something, just kind of guiding you in your early career. And kind of what it looks like, I'll tell you all, for the mental health field. Once you get your master's degree, you have to do supervision. So during this time, you are working in the field, right? Hopefully you find something in the field, right? But most of the time you can. You're working in the field and you have a supervisor. Sometimes you can find a supervisor at the place that you work at, or outside of wherever you work. Because sometimes when you're early in your career in the mental health field, you're working at agencies where you're doing probably case management. You're an intern, but you're an intern based on the state that you're in, but you have someone that is supervising you, right? Because you're not licensed yet. And so that person can kind of sometimes turn into a mentor, right? But it's somebody that you can go to and ask questions, kind of help you to gain more knowledge within your profession, and really kind of just guide you in how things should go, or how things go early in your career. Now, even if you're not early in your career, I recommend everybody has a mentor, whether you're self-employed, whether you're an entrepreneur, or whether you are working at in corporate or an organization, because you always need somebody to bounce ideas off of. You always need somebody, to give an unbiased opinion about things, kind of help you through certain challenges and things like that. And that's why I always tell people too, especially a lot of times in these positions, these leadership positions, management positions, it's a lot of responsibility, right? And especially too when you're early in your career, you may have a lot of responsibility, but everybody has to start somewhere. You don't really know what you're doing, right? So you need someone to kind of guide you through that. So that's why it's important to have a mentor, right? So everybody, whatever level in your career you're at, consider getting a mentor. And the person doesn't even have to, oftentimes a mentor may be somebody that works in the same place you work at, but they don't have to be, right? They can be anywhere, because you can Zoom, you can have phone calls and things like that. And I recommend that you check in with your mentor at least once a month. at least once a month. Um, just for a check-in. And a lot of times what I see, if I'm mentoring someone, I see um some people want to mentor because that's what they've been told to do, right? They've been told you need a mentor. With some positions at some companies, they'll say, they'll ask you, do you have a mentor, or have you mentored before? Have you been a mentee, right? Because sometimes when you've been a mentee, then you kind of maneuver a little bit differently. You kind of uh, know how things go, the process of things, right? Um, but again, the mentor doesn't have to be in the place that you work at. Y'all, oh, let me tell y'all, I went to Starbucks today, and I know I said before in my one of my car chats, right? I guess I've been doing these car chats. That I really wasn't a fan of those specialty drinks, but y'all, the one that I tried today, and I don't even think it's like a specialty drink, because I'm more of like a simple coffee type of person, right? Um, I got the salted caramel sweet foam cold sweet cold brew. Salted caramel sweet cold brew something. This is good, y'all. Am I addicted to Starbucks now? It's got a little bit of that, it got that it's not too much salted caramel. I think that's the salted caramel was the foam part. But it is good, and it's very simple. It doesn't have all that ribbon crunch stuff or whatever they call it in it, because I'm like, this is just too much, and it's too sweet. But yeah, this one was good, y'all, for real, for real. Yeah, a salted caramel cold brew, sweet foam cold brew. I think that's what it is. Yes. So um yeah, so when you talk about having a mentor, everybody needs one, right? But if you are a person that is trying to get to the next level in your career, maybe you've been entry level, and usually it takes about, I would say, maybe 3 years, at 3 years minimum, depending on your job, depending on your industry, to learn your job. I mean, learn your job fully, right? I'm talking about you can do your job like the back of your hand. You know, and I mean, I'm not just talking about, oh, just everything. You know what resources to call, who to call, when to call. The program. Most jobs, you have these professional jobs. You have certain programs or systems that you work in. You know the system like the back of your hand. You can basically train someone without needing support to train them, because you already know how to work the system, so you can train someone else on how to use the system. You can anticipate other people's questions when it comes to that particular job, and have an answer at the ready for them. Like, to me, at a minimum, in my opinion, it takes about 3 years for someone to get to that point. And same thing with any social media jobs, you know what I mean? Or being a social media influencer, I would think that it would take about 3 years to really kind of get your footing, right? And then probably by that time, you also know kind of what can be done, what can't be done. That you may be okay now with making mistakes, but you know how to fix them, things like that, right? So by that time, you may be that 3 to 5 year mark, you might be ready to move on to the next level in that particular career. That was just kind of like a stepping stone. Maybe you're ready to get into leadership. Maybe you're ready to get into management and things like that, right? And maybe you've been mentored all this time, or you've been counting on maybe like your manager to kind of help you through, what's next, or how to do things, or implementing things, things of that nature. But when you are trying to get to the next level or get promoted, especially if it's like a different department or even a different field, right? You've got to have a sponsor. You say, Ashley, what do you? This man is driving. How? This is what. Okay, tangent. When what I can't stand when people be driving, like if you're gonna make a turn, turn in the lane. How are you? It's only two lanes. How are you turning into my lane? That don't even make sense. That don't even make no sense. But anyway, back. Let me get back on track. So if you're trying to get to that next level, you got to have a sponsor. So Ashley, what do you mean by having a sponsor? Okay, a sponsor is somebody that's basically, in plain terms, they're going to vouch for you. Now, you have mentors that will speak up for you, or mentors who will only talk to you about maybe who you've networked with. They may give you advice about what you should do, or just kind of asking you questions about your skills, and if you feel like you have the skills for certain things like that. But when you have a sponsor to me is like the next step up from a mentor. And you don't really find that often. I don't think. I mean, people probably have sponsors and don't realize that that person is a sponsor. So let me kind of talk. Oh, it's a lot of traffic. Let me kind of talk about this a little bit more. So sponsors literally vouch for you. Sponsors take a risk in their own career for you. Sponsors put their name, attach their name to you. Sponsors have confidence that you can do the job. They have no doubt that you can do a particular job, even if this particular job doesn't have anything to do with your field. Why? Because they know what is this, y'all? They know what skills you have. They know what you are capable of when it comes to your professional life. They know your what your professional presence looks like, right? They know that you know how to conduct yourself in certain situations. They have seen you present, and a lot of people don't know this, but what they people do know this. Let me stop that. People do know this, but they are not comfortable with it. But they're not comfortable with it, y'all. If you're trying to get to the next level in any step of your career, you've got to be comfortable with presenting. You got to be comfortable with presenting, and it may not be presenting a formal presentation, right? But you got to be comfortable presenting information about yourself. Having your elevator speech, talking to people about what you do, what you can do, what you're capable of doing, and what skills you have in a particular career or a particular area, right? And it may not even be to try to get the job. It might be just to network with other people. And I will tell you all, I was never really afraid to present in front of people or leaders or executives or anything like that. But it definitely wasn't my favorite thing to do. You know what I'm saying? It definitely wasn't my favorite thing to do. But I am a task oriented person. And I told y'all before, I'm like a list person, right? So I'm kind of organized in that way. So for me, the more prepared I am, I basically prepare myself by preparing all of the things I need to do to be successful in whatever it is. All of the things I need to succeed in whatever it is, right? And so I started to break down, even though I didn't enjoy presenting, I saw that it was a needed skill in order for me to get to the next level. And so I started to write down all of the things I needed to do to have or to present great information, how to hold the audience, and things like that. And especially when it comes to presenting to executives and in these companies and all of this, right? Um, so if you're trying to get to the next level, you've got to be comfortable with presenting information, right? So what are these people looking at? So yeah. So if you're not comfortable with that, start putting yourself, you've basically got to get comfortable with being uncomfortable if you're trying to get to the next level, right? Um and part of that is putting yourself in situations where you are uncomfortable, and know that it's, the feeling is going to pass, and to be okay with making mistakes, and things like that. Nobody's perfect, you know what I'm saying? But you're practicing, you're getting better every time, you're getting better and better. And so start volunteering, and this is only if you're trying to get to the next level. Start volunteering for different things. Start doing in service, taking in service opportunities wherever you are, right? In service opportunities to be able to present information to other people. Start, just volunteering for different things. Now, one thing I will say, I gave myself a challenge one time, and this was before the panorama, and I went on, I think it was Meetup. Is it Meetup.com? I think that was the one. And they would have these, I don't think it was a happy hour. It was specifically like a networking event. They would have these, a particular group would have a networking event in my city like once a month, but they would have it at different places, where it was at the place it would be like happy hour, or it would just be like a gathering place, right? And I would go, I would go to those particular networking events, and I would make myself uncomfortable, right? I mean, it's a whole group of people. I mean, it would be at least 100 people at these events. And you would go up to random people and introduce yourself, let them know, basically giving your elevator speech, right? And the more you do it, just like anything else, the more you do it, the better you get at it, the more comfortable you will get. So it's not going to be a thing for you to be able to transfer those skills into the company that you're in, or the job that you're seeking, or if you're self-employed or an entrepreneur, to get more opportunities for your business, right? To gain other sources of resources, or network with other people, because you're comfortable with presenting yourself and presenting what you can offer and things like that. And then it'll also help you with your interview skills. So if you're trying to get to the next level, that is the number one skill, in my opinion, that you need, is how to present information, and how to present information way in a succinct way, depending on what you're presenting, right? But in a succinct way, and how to hold the audience, right? um so that's a great tip. Now back to sponsorship. So a sponsor, they're going to put their name on the line for you. A sponsor is a person who is the next step from a mentor, the next step from a coach. They're a step above those things, because when they get into a room, if they know that you're trying to get to the next level, they are going to actually speak up for you to say, hey, I have someone here, I know someone, I am mentoring a particular person, and they can do X, Y, and Z. And do you have any slots available? Do you have any openings available? And if your sponsor is a well respected sponsor, a sponsor who is on their stuff, because you cannot have a sponsor who not on their stuff. I would hope that you wouldn't have a sponsor who, really can't show that the reasons why they're a sponsor, right? Sponsors are usually people who have influence, who are, especially when you talk about organizations and companies, things like that, they are probably executives or directors, or, people who can move around in a room and who know a lot of people, and whom they are respected by those people, right? And when they speak up, people listen, right? So they are influential. So if you have a sponsor like that, when they get into those rooms and places where they know you want to be, and they know what you can do, and they are confident that you can do that, and that if you do it, you ain't gonna make them look bad. They're going to get into those rooms and they're going to speak for you and say, I have a person who would be perfect for this particular slot. Now, again, if they are a person of influence, then you got the job, right? You've got the opportunity, right? You've got more resources for your business, right? So, how do you find these people though? The only way, now, again, some people may have sponsors and don't even know it. You have, kind of have that in the working. But when you are a mentee, you've got to put in the work too. I see a lot of mentees who, because in my opinion, if you're a mentee, then it's your responsibility to set up meetings with your mentor, because it shows that you have initiative, it shows that you have motivation, it shows that you're empowered, right? That you are showing that you want to get to the next level, and that you really care about that professional relationship, and that you're doing your part, right? So a lot of mentees, them first or second meetings, they might set it up, but then after that, it's kind of like every once in a while. But you have to make sure that you keep in touch with your mentor, at least once a month, to kind of check in. If you are looking for opportunities, to ask them if they know about any opportunities. Let them know what your goals are, right? Um, but as a mentee, you got to put in the work and let your mentor know, this is what I'm looking for from this professional relationship. This is what I'm looking for, um, as far as, being a mentee. These are my expectations, and those conversations usually happen the first or second meeting. But in my opinion, it's up to the mentee to set the structure for that, right? Because you want this relationship to be beneficial for you. And usually mentors, they know what it is, but they have to see that initiative, right? And so when they start to see that, they know what your goals are, they know where you're trying to go, and things like that. Then I recommend you, as a mentee, bringing up or having the conversation with them about, you know and hopefully you would be at this point, at some point, bringing up how comfortable they might be with sponsoring you if they hear of an opportunity, or if they know someone, and if they are very candid with you, right? And they say, hey, no, I don't think you're ready for that, then you need to ask them why. What is it that you need to continue to work on? What skills do they feel like you need to acquire? in order to have a particular position and things like that, right? And you may have multiple sponsors. You might have multiple sponsors. You may have multiple people who are willing to put their careers on the line for you. And it's a lot of people out there. It's a lot of people out there, but some people don't position themselves to have that conversation, um, so that they know you want to be sponsored. You see what I'm saying? So that was on my mind. That's why I came back. And then too, uh, I'm still running errands and stuff. So um, so yeah, hopefully that was helpful for you all. Hopefully that was very helpful. And I always talk about how how you can get to the next level in your career and things like that. Another thing too is I don't think I've made many videos yet about how to manage your career. I'm sorry, how to manage your mental health in the workplace, right? And this is a big subject because we know now with remote work, that brings on a different level of challenges with your mental health, I think, in my opinion. But there are companies now who are doing hybrid, right? Where you may have to go into the office a couple of days a week and then you work from home the other days, or kind of starting to ask the question about who's going back into the office. And if they go back into the office, do they have to be vaccinated? All of that stuff, right? And but if you are, I think before remote work, there were challenges with people trying to manage their mental health in the office, right? A lot of stress, a lot of anxiety. Um, you know, you have managers who are micromanagers. How do you kind of manage that? But now with remote work, you still have the same thing. You still have micromanagers, right? And they're micromanaging even more because they can't see you at that desk. You know what I'm saying? They can't see that you're at the desk. So they really feel like they don't know what you're doing now, and they want to know every minute where you are. If you are away from your desk, where were you, things like that. You still have managers like that, y'all, believe it or not. Um, and then when you talk about stress and anxiety now, even though remote work allows for flexibility, right? You're able to take a break, if you need to. You're able to um, relax a little bit more. No one is kind of looking over you. I feel like that with some people and probably a lot of industries, the workload is a little bit higher because you are taking breaks, right? And you have a longer time, per se. It could be looked at this way: you have a longer time to do your job, because if you're home, right, you are working, and then you take a break, then you come back and do a little bit more work. Then you may stop working for a little bit. Then you come back in the evening to do a little bit more work, right? Or to finish what you didn't finish. You have the flexibility to do that. So then you find yourself working all day, throughout the day, into the evening, on the weekends, when you probably didn't used to do that when you were in the office, because you would go in at a certain time, do what you needed to do, and you would leave at a certain time. But everything for you to do your work was left at work, right? Your computer, any notes that you took and things like that, you left those at work. So you weren't doing work on the weekends, you weren't doing work in the evenings, but now everything is with you. So it's like, okay, I'm gonna take a break and do this, and then I'm gonna come back. You look up, you going back and forth, and you look up, it's 9 p.m., right? So the workload is probably a little bit higher, you have a higher workload, right? And then you have a little bit of stress with that, because it's like you're almost like you're not ever finishing anything. um and then the work life balance is still not there, because the workload doesn't change, or probably got a little bit to be a little bit more because of the panorama, depending on what industry you're in, right? So you don't have that. It's flexible, but then it's not flexible. You know what I mean? And some people are not able to separate work from home if you're a remote worker. Some people don't want to do remote work, y'all. Believe it or not, some people are just don't want to do remote work because they know they ain't finna get that work done. They already know they're gonna be in there at 10 p.m. trying to get that work done. But some people, and that's, you know what, it's good to know. They have are very self aware to know that, you know what, this is remote work is not for me. And some people also they like going to the office because of the camaraderie, right? Because of the festivities, it makes work a little bit easier. Now you don't have that. You don't have someone sitting next to you. You don't have your colleague in the next office across from you or next to you, right? So it's a little bit difficult socially, and everyone needs social connections, right? So how do you manage that though? That's the question. How do you manage? First, let's talk about the micromanagers. How do you manage that, right? I think that now, let me say, Gen Z, oh baby, when they have a problem with the manager, they're going to tell the manager. They're going to tell them that this is not working for me. Or either they're going to quit their job, baby. They're going to quit and not look back and comfortable with it. You hear me? They're going to quit that job, baby. But they will talk to the manager and say, hey, this is not working for me. I learned, you know, communicating like this will be a little bit better. They're going to, and they'll do it in a professional way. You know what I'm saying? They'll do it in a professional way, but they're going to let them know, hey, this is really not working. How can we fix this, basically, right? Um, Now, but some people, they let it fester. They let it fester, and then you look up, and then it's kind of like they don't want to quit their job. Um, because some people that's just not, what they do. It's not an option for them, or whatever it might be. Um, but you have options. So how do you manage the stress that you have, right? I encourage everybody to use their EAP if you have that available in your with your benefits, your employee assistance program. EAP will work wonders. You're able to talk to a licensed clinician any time of the day, 24/7, to talk about the issues that you're having, and they'll give you a little bit of, some tips, or, ask you different questions to kind of guide you in the right way of how you can kind of handle it if it's a severe situation. And also, if it's very severe where you feel like you're being treated a certain way, or, it's just an issue with the manager, you can go to HR. I know a lot of people feel like, oh no, I'm not going to go to HR. This retaliation stuff. Retaliation is unlawful. And usually, if you go to HR, they're going to do an investigation. And sometimes, they will ask you, is it okay? That they're not going to mention your name if they do an investigation. Now, it just depends on the type of investigation. You see what I'm saying? It depends on the type of investigation, but they may not say your name or anything like that. So that would be up to you, but that is an option. You know what I'm saying? At least you have options. Don't feel like that you don't there's nothing that you can do, right? So yeah, I think I'm gonna have to get off here. I'm gonna get off. I'm gonna come back with a sit down video about the other ways that you can kind of manage the mental health in the workplace. But let me know what particular questions you all have about that, or if you tried something and it didn't work for you on how to manage it. Let me know, and I will make sure that I address it in the sit down video. But I hope this was helpful. I appreciate you all for watching. Make sure you like, comment, and subscribe, and I will see you on the next one. Bye.